Okay, it's early on a Monday morning. I feel like shit. I probably look worse, and I haven't had coffee yet. So, you know, dedication and all that. But it's going to be a busy week because I want to release one of these little Q&A videos every day of the week. One question, one big question, or a couple of little questions. So ask your question in the comments of this one. But the reason I'm doing this, if you haven't seen my channel before, is it's my 12k sub giveaway, and it was supposed to be my 10k sub giveaway a long while ago. I'm giving away a set of Sunbear humbuckers. You can choose 57s, 58s or 59s. Stuart at Sunbear has said, which is really kind of him. He's giving them away. I'm not paying for them, so the generosity is all his. All you need to do is go and watch my last video where I announced this and subscribe to the channel and comment on that video. You either comment what's your favourite guitar or what's your favourite chocolate biscuit, and you'll understand if you watch that video. I'll put the link in the description and the first comment. So yeah, and just carrying on with that theme this week, I thought it'd be fun to just carry on answering some questions. So we're going with this one from Chris, who I know has been watching my channel for quite a while. Thanks, Chris, for asking the question. You're over in Australia, I think, so happy evening, I guess, if I'm releasing this sort of in the morning here. You asked, what do I prefer, P90's or Filtertrons? Which is a great question because, you know, I've just bought a guitar with Filtertrons for the first time, and you really like your Cabronita Telly, and I've played a few of those. They are really great. They have Trons in, I think, normally, right? So what I've done here is just filmed a few little clips. It's not going to be a very long video. It's not going to be like a super in-depth thing, but just give you my views on P90's versus Filtertrons. The first thing you heard at the beginning, which probably gave me a wailing headache a minute ago, coming out of my Magnatone amp, was the P90 humming away, well, not humming, squealing away. And that tells us something about the history of pickups, doesn't it? The P90s came first, and then the humbuckers and the Filtertrons came to basically try and stop this problem of hum and noise and, you know, all of that stuff, which was needed, I think, especially as things got louder and louder in the guitar world. This is quite loud. It's probably over 100 decibels in here, 103 or 4. And that was with an overdrive plugged in, and the P90s, unless you're actually playing, they just want to squeal, and you've got to turn the volume controls down to at least about 8 to sort of get that under control. So if I was purely thinking about being a session guitarist and I needed to play sort of quite loudly and overdriven, I might have to think about using the Filtertrons. And if you remember from the video I did about the Gretsch that I just bought, even on the little front of the little Filtertrons brochure, it literally talks about how it stops or filters out noises. But what do I think about the difference between the sound and the way they feel to play? So let's just hear for a moment. I'm plugged into a Magnatone Twilighter Mono, which is quite a clean amp, and you'll hear that second. It's clean but with a bit of bark to it. And I'm plugged into the heavy hand side of the Duelist by Kingtone, which I'll put the settings up on the screen. Nice overdriven tone here. What do we think? Let's hear for a second. So to me, the P90s are a bit more open sounding, a bit bigger sounding. They are in the room, that's for sure. A bit fuller frequency, a bit more bottom end. And I really love P90s. You know, they might be my overall favourite pickup because they do everything so well. They do cleans so well, they do overdriven tones maybe even better. They can sound stratty in the neck and they can sound a bit more sort of gnarly in the bridge with a lot of bite. And this is a set of Sunbear P90s that are my favourite. I've even got a couple of vintage 50s P90s in guitars, and I think I prefer Stewart's P90s because they have just a bit more meat on them, less spiky, so it depends how vintage of a sound you want. His are a very sweet sounding pickup. The Filtertrons, on the other hand, they feel a little bit weaker to play at the same volumes and with everything set the same. They just feel a little bit less overdriven, I guess, and a little bit less big, and they've got very definite sort of sound to them, the Filtertrons, which I think almost leads them to win over in the actual sound of it because there's so much personality there. There's a sort of more grungy, grindy, granular sound there. It's very particular, and I really like that about Trons. I might enjoy playing the P90s more, but if I was in a band and I'm trying to create like a really personality, like recognizable sound, I think the Trons might win out. They just do something that no other pickup does, and it's the Filtertron sound. They're not wholly dissimilar from a P90, to be honest, in the way they feel and sound. They probably feel more like a P90 than they do a humbucker, even though they are also a humbucking type of a pickup. So it's hard to pick a winner here. I prefer my gold top guitar to play over the Gretsch, just. It's got a more comfortable neck for me. And with that trapezoid bridge, it really just has so much sort of harmonic content going on, hence the squeals and everything. I think if I plugged in a guitar without that, you wouldn't hear so much. It just, everything starts reverberating as soon as you touch that guitar. But yeah, for a sort of like not modern gain, for a sort of vintage gain style riffing thing, they're both wicked. I can't pick a winner if you're really, really, really pushing me. I'm going to say, in this case, probably I'd pick the Filtertrons if I was recording to create that sound. I think I prefer the P90s to play, and in the room, you know, they just have a bigger frequency, but like to cut through the mix, the Filtertrons have less bass. So that's probably a good thing. Yeah, it's a tough one though. Okay, let's hear a bit of clean. Okay, so P90's in the neck especially can do a sort of stratty thing. They've got that bouncy single coil loveliness with a bit of shimmer on top. I love that, right? Really sort of does well for the Hendrix cleans and things like that. The Gretsch, on the other hand, is quite dark in the neck. I don't really play it in the neck position, to be honest. Once you put it in the bridge, that's where I think the real Tron character comes through. There's a sort of bark and growl, which the P90's also have, but what I like about the Trons is they always feel like they're on the edge of their capability. You know, like the P90's feel like they're helping you along. You can even feel it under the strings. There's a sort of like muscularity about the feel of the P90, whereas the Gretsch feels like a really old thing. It feels like I've plonked a microphone in the middle of my guitar and I'm sort of not fighting it, but I'm pushing it, and it can really drive you on to making certain sort of sounds, you know. So the Trons again have all that personality. So do P90's. And I'm probably a bit spoiled, you know. I've got two guitars with vintage P90's in the bridge position, and I'm in love with those guitars. You know, they have so much personality, and so does this Giordano Goldtop with the Sunbears in. It just has so much going on, so much harmonic and content and tone just wanting to like jump out of the guitar. So it's really hard to pick. I probably would pick the P90's for clean over the Trons because from the neck to the bridge I get everything and it just sounds great. It feels great to play. The Trons are just in their own category. I think everyone, if you have multiple guitars, you need a guitar with Trons in, even though I think it might get less play in the end. P90's are probably my favourite pickup along with Strat pickups. Well, Strat neck pickups. Give me a P90 in a bridge any day. That makes me think I should make a Strat with P90's in the bridge. Not something you see very often. Okay, so to answer the question, Chris, P90 or Filtertron, if you made me pick, and let me remind you, this is pre-coffee on a Monday morning. I've not even had a chocolate biscuit yet. I'm going to pick P90's. But that doesn't mean I don't want the Trons and that they don't do something really special. They do, and I'm glad I got them. But I've got lots of guitars with P90's because I just think they're awesome. Okay, I think that's the end of that one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, go and comment on that previous video, and comment on this one as well. You don't need to comment on this one to win, but comment with a question that I can answer tomorrow, and I'll pick a question out of the comments. All right, have a good Monday. Cheers.